If you're new to the game of Football Manager, I don't blame you. One of the important attributes was certain roles. You're going to have loads of advice. On today's show, I plan to simplify it in terms of attribute combinations. By the end of this show, I expect you to understand how certain attributes kick in at various times in the game, because this is something that not a lot of people talk about. I plan to do it on this video. My name is Daljit. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the channel. This is the place where you'll find me doing content on the game Football Manager. If you want to get better at tactics, make your own, perhaps you want to stop downloading tactics, this is the place to be. And I also stream 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on another channel called Daljit's Moments. On Wednesdays, I do a show called Bring Your Tactics. You can bring your tactics along if you're having any problems with it. And yes, we'll take a look at it together. We'll put it into a game. I'll play a few matches with the tactic, and I'll show you what's possible with the system. Finally, on Fridays, yes, and on Tuesdays even, I do a public draft on Twitch, where we get a chance to play a few games of Football Manager together. And if you feel up to it, join me there as well. I look forward to seeing you there. When the Collier brothers decided to create a game called Championship Manager, which is originally the name of the game before it became Football Manager, they had one goal in mind. They wanted to create a game that simulated human behavior on the football pitch. When you go into the game of Football Manager, outfield players have as many as 36 attributes. 36 attributes that are meant to simulate human behavior. So we've got these players with these attributes. What we need to understand is how this game processes this information and reproduces this simulated human behavior. When you're playing the game of Football Manager, you're going to have a host of options to choose roles, duties, and team instructions. And during the course of a match, things are going to happen in the game. Collectively, these things that happen in the game are in-game events, making certain attributes more important than others. So whenever you're defending or attacking or even holding the ball in midfield, different kinds of attributes come into play. But what we need to remember is the original goal of the creator of the game. It's meant to simulate human behavior. So if we were to look at simulating human behavior, we have to do it in 3 steps: the awareness, the intention, and the act. So if you're playing the game of Football Manager, what does this mean? Essentially, you're looking at mental attributes first, because mental attributes are the important attributes, because you need to know what's happening around you. You need to make a decision on what to do. And then you have the physical attributes, which are going to give you the physical ability to get to that position to do something. And finally, you've got your technical attributes, whether or not you'll be able to perform the act that you need to do. So if you're looking at a situation where you want to check on why a certain transition failed, you'll have to look at the attributes, and you have to do it in a certain order. You have to first look at the mental attributes. Was the player able to read the situation in the game? This is basically footballing intelligence. Then the physical attributes, whether the player was physically able to get to that position in time, or whether he was able to jump and win the header. And finally, the actual act itself, the header, whether he could mark the player, whether he could pass the ball, whether he could cross the ball, whether he could dribble, whether he could bury his chance. The mistake people make with the game is simplifying attributes and just looking at, my striker has to have finishing to score a goal. No. For example, you could be in a situation where you're looking at a counter-attacking opportunity for your target man. And how do you know if your target man can get into position to take advantage of a breakaway? The target man doesn't need great acceleration. What the target man actually needs first up is off the ball. He needs very good off the ball so that he can find a position for him to be in. Then he needs good anticipation. He needs to be aware of the counter-attacking play that's presented itself. So if you're playing a counter-attacking game, then you need certain mental attributes first before you start looking at the physical attributes. A player might have great physical attributes, but if he's got poor concentration, he doesn't know that there's a counter-attacking opportunity that's opened up, then there's no point, because he doesn't have the smarts for your system. I like to break attributes down into combinations. If I were to look at my defenders, then anticipation, positioning, concentration, decisions, and bravery become really important. Anticipation is really cool because it lets me know if a player has the smarts to read the game. Positioning is very important because you want a defender to know where to stand. Now, if a player has got very good positioning and very good anticipation, you can actually play a low block where you are sitting deep and you don't have to be closing down so much because the player is very, very good at reading the game. And you can actually get away with poor acceleration. Whenever you look at players, the first set of attributes you always want to look at are the mental attributes. Mental attributes are always going to be important, whether they are defenders or attackers. For forwards, you're looking at off the ball. You're looking at anticipation as well. Because if you have a target man and you're playing a counter-attacking system, then you want the target man to be aware of counter-attacking opportunities. You want him to have great off the ball so that players can find him with the pass. Let's try this example with Cagliari. I've got this squad and I want to play a low block. I want to sit back and I want to counter-attack a lot of teams that are coming at us. And I've successfully been able to play low block with Cagliari for the better part of the season. Now, if I wanted to create a low block system, I want my players to have very good composure as well in defense because you'll be spending a lot of time defending. And I need my players to have fantastic mentals. So here we have a whole bunch of attributes that I put in. So this is my support view and I've got off the ball and positioning included because I'm looking for players who are going to be supporting the attack as well as supporting the defense. And we've got a fullback here who's got pretty decent average attributes. These aren't that bad. They are fairly average for most players. Anything that's higher than this is probably good. Anything lower than this is something I want to avoid. So I've got 13 for off the ball, 13 for positioning, 12 for bravery, 12 for decision making, 13 for concentration, and 12 for anticipation. This is a fullback that can read the game. And he's got fantastic physical attributes. So I know that he's got the smarts to know what to do, right? He's got the physical capacity to do it, to get to that position really quickly. And then finally, I look at the technical attributes. He can tackle, he can pass, he's got composure, he's got very good balance, he's not going to be thrown off, he can twist and turn and bring the ball forward. His natural fitness is fantastic. Finally, I take a look at his crossing ability. So whenever you look at players, you want to have a priority system at looking at the attributes so that you understand what they can bring to the table. Whether you're planning to park the bus or you're planning to go gun-ho on the opposition, there are always going to be certain attributes that are going to be common. Now, footballing intelligence attributes are always going to be important. So my recommendation is whenever you play this game, start with mental attributes first to determine whether or not that player has the smarts to play in that position. So if you're looking at a defender, you want to look at positioning. If you're looking at a forward, you want to look at off the ball. Then you start combining these attributes together, like what I've done with my team at Cagliari. If you're playing a low block system, acceleration is going to be very important for your central defenders. What's going to be more important for your central defenders are going to be anticipation, concentration, positioning, jumping, reach, because your central defenders are going to be spending a lot of time dealing with threats in and around the box. So you want them to have the smarts to know what to do. But that's just for the backline of a low block. What about players further up the pitch? In attack, you're probably going to want off the ball anticipation as important attributes because these players have to be able to know where to go and when to go. And then you add acceleration because acceleration is going to be very important because they're going to have to break away quickly and try and score those goals. Then up top, if you have a target man, what you want is anticipation. You want off the ball because these are the first two attributes I'd look at because I need to know whether he knows where to go. Otherwise, what's the point? Then once he knows where he's supposed to go, you want to know whether he can physically do the job. Acceleration, jumping, reach. Finally, when he does all that, he has to bring the ball down and control it first touch. What do you want him to do with the ball? Do you want him to pass it to somebody? Look at passing. So when it comes to attributes, you always think of them in combinations. Attributes aren't the magic blue pill. You're not going to win everything, even if you assemble 11 of the best players in your team. If your tactic hasn't been well thought out, if you haven't set up the roles and duties and the team instructions correctly, because ultimately attributes work within an environment that you create with your tactic. Once you understand combinations, you kind of figure out the kind of attributes that are important for different kinds of systems. Here with my Cagliari side, my backline, or rather my two defenders, they don't need to be very fast. They just need a lot of brains. They just need fantastic jumping reach. Up top, I need a strong player here and a fast player here, or a strong player here and a fast player, depending on how I want to set things up. So essentially, when you're creating these tactics, you need to consider the system you're playing. If you're playing a low block system, naturally you're going to be defending a lot, and you're going to be dealing with a lot of crosses inside the box. So certain attribute combinations take precedence. Acceleration for defenders doesn't become important. Positioning, jumping reach, anticipation, concentration become very valuable attributes for your defenders. And then, because they're playing a low block, some degree of composure is also very important, because your players are always going to be under pressure to work the ball out. If you're the sort of person that just wants to hoof the ball, it doesn't matter. But if you're a person like me who likes to calmly play the ball out of defense and then use creative passing in the center of midfield to spring a direct pass over the top to catch the defense unaware, then you have to think about certain other attribute combinations. So what do we do about training? Training, I like to keep it simple. I've already got a training schedule that's pretty balanced, and I use it across all my saves with all my teams because it works on all the mental attributes. Mental attributes are really important, so I've got a very balanced training schedule that works on it. And during the start of the season, they have their pre-season training schedule. Then as they gain tactical familiarity, they've got a balanced training schedule. And finally, once they've gained tactical familiarity, I switch them to this. Regardless, they always come to this training schedule by November. So you can see every team is using the same one because this works on all the mental attributes in the game. Then finally, when I go to my players, what I normally do is I choose a role for them that is going to hit the attributes that I'm after. Like here, for example, here's Gabriel Zappa. This is a player that if you're looking at this, the first thing I zoom in on are mental attributes. Now, his mental attributes aren't bad. They can get better. He's only 22 years old. It's the first thing I look at. So with Gabriel Zappa, he's going to be trained as a wingback on support, and I'm focusing on attacking movement. This works on off-the-ball anticipation and decisions. Fantastic attributes for a person who's going to be moving up the pitch and supporting play. Once he's gained about 12 to 13 in most of these attributes, I'll be moving him to defensive positioning, where he can improve marking, positioning, and decisions. Either way, he's going to be solid as an all-rounder. And then as a wingback on support, his training is going to be very straightforward. He's going to work on acceleration, agility, crossing, dribbling, first touch, marking, passing, tackling, technique. The attribute spread is going to be perfect for him as he improves. Over time, we will start thinking about adding in final third training to improve his composure. Then I'll have nailed his mental attributes, the ones that are key to how I want to play. When you're playing a gegenpressing system, naturally stamina, acceleration, work rate are really important. But why? It's because those attributes are also your get out of jail card if your mental attributes are poor. However, if your mental attributes are really strong and your physical attributes are also good, a gegenpressing system can be very devastating because wingers who have got good anticipation and acceleration are going to intercept balls that are being played out from the back by defenders. Because once the defender plays it out to the fullback, a winger on attack is just going to snap in and steal the ball. That's what happens with gegenpressing when you have the right kind of attribute combinations in your team. I'm obsessed with attributes and how they work in the game. I've always been obsessed with them since the game was created. In fact, my first guide, which I did for Football Manager, it has something like 130 pages on attribute combinations alone, because there are so many ways you can mix them all up to create all kinds of systems. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. I was hoping to just get you to step back and think about how you are creating your tactics and how you look at your players whenever a transition breaks down. Because if you understand how these attributes work in combination and which attributes to look at first, then perhaps it might make it a bit more easier for you to identify exactly what's going wrong in your own system. I hope you enjoyed today's show and found it useful. Please stay in touch. Take care of each other. I don't know what else to say. Have a good day. Bye-bye.